Day 85, I'm reading If God is Love, page 125. Humble Religion. A father brought his epileptic child to Jesus to be healed. He said, "If you are able to do anything, have pity on us and help us." Jesus replied, "If you are able, all things can be done for the one who believes." Immediately the father of the child cried out, "I believe, help my unbelief." I love the honesty and humility of that answer. The religion of my childhood encouraged neither of these qualities. Questions that challenged the pet answered were viewed as unfaithful. The pet answers were viewed as unfaithful. When I asked how Jesus could be both divine and human, I was told it was a mystery. It couldn't be explained, but must be accepted. The faithful believed the illogical, impossible, and irrational. Doubts, if we had any, were best kept to ourselves. Unbelievers were doomed to hell. Jesus was the answer. Christianity was the only way. We possessed the whole truth. Our task was to correct, convince, or coerce others. We were encouraged to begin with our own families. In the midst of this enthusiasm, I decided to save my Aunt Nancy. Nancy was a wonderful woman, intelligent, vivacious, and caring. She was a loved and respected junior high teacher. Her students would return years later to thank her for her compassion. I experienced this care each year when she hosted our family for Thanksgiving. Going to her house and being with her was one of the highlights of each year. My only discomfort was that she had quit attending church during college. Though she often spoke of spiritual matters, her opinion of Christianity was low. One year, after returning home from Thanksgiving, I decided to write my aunt. I shared my experience with God, discussed my beliefs, and asked her to accept Jesus as Lord and Savior. I told her I was motivated out of concern for her, the quality of her life, and her eternal destiny. I prayed over that letter and asked God to reveal the truth. Several weeks later, I received her reply in the mail. It was not the answer I'd hoped for, but it was precisely what I needed. She spoke of her own spiritual journey, of how she had experienced and known God, of what she'd rejected as inauthentic, and of the peace she'd finally discovered. Then she challenged my motives. She suggested my concern was not for her, but for myself. What had made me uncomfortable was that she had found peace and meaning in the ways different from mine. What concerned me was the possibility that there might be other ways of knowing God. My prayer was answered. The truth was revealed, not to her, but to me. I realized my arrogance in assuming other human beings should relate to God exactly as I did. Gracious religion approaches others gently because even if our experience is more authentic or accurate than theirs, no one can or should adopt an experience that isn't their own. It approaches others humbly because their experience of God may be more authentic and accurate than our own. There was nothing wrong with sharing my beliefs and convictions with my Aunt Nancy. What was arrogant was my assumption that my fate was more authentic. Christianity has often been arrogant, rather than gently waiting on others to come to what we insist is a compelling truth. We demand immediate obedience and conformity, rather than admitting any possible fallibility. We claim certainty. Evangelism, which comes from the Greek word for spreading good news, often degenerates into telling others the bad news. We're saved and you're not. Christians are not alone in this elitism. All the great religions imply a monopoly on the truth. There is a story that tells of God's placing the totality of all truth in a spear and asking an angel to deliver the truth to humanity. Unfortunately, while descending, the angel drops the spear and it shatters into millions of pieces. The problem is, we've each assumed our small piece is the whole truth. Gandhi said, "It is unwise to be sure of one's own wisdom. It is healthy to be reminded that the strongest might weaken, the wisest might err." I repeat this to myself often as I preach and write. Since I'm not the wisest, I'm certain I err. Reading sermons I preached 10 years ago is a good reminder. I passionately proclaimed beliefs I no longer hold. I'm learning to offer my insights and beliefs with humility. I could be wrong. I'm often asked if I know without a shadow of a doubt that all will be saved. The answer is no. When I admit this, some ask, how can you teach something that might not be true? Don't you worry that you may be leading someone astray? I understand that question. Once I would have asked it myself. The problem with the question is the implication. There are some beliefs about the afterlife, or any other idea for that matter, and that can be known beyond the shadow of a doubt. What happens after death is a mystery. Every belief is speculation. Some people, based on their confidence in the Bible, believe some will go to heaven and others will go to hell. Others, based on their trust in the teachings of the church, offer the possibility of purgatory. Still others believe, based on their convictions, that we will be reincarnated or assimilated or annihilated. The Mormon, if I understand them correctly, believe we will someday be gods of our own planets. These are all beliefs. They are not scientific facts we can prove in a laboratory. This doesn't mean that we should or can abandon speculation. The problem is when we insist our beliefs are the complete truth. This arrogant religion exalts itself and its adherents. As Marcus Borg notes, the heart of Christianity, when we think about the claim that Christianity is the only way of salvation, it's a pretty strange notion. Does it make sense that God, whom we speak of, the creator of the universe, has chosen to be known in only one religious tradition, which just fortunately happens to be our own? Gracious religion, in contrast, adopts an attitude of epistemological humility. It says epistemological humility. It says, I know, but I could be wrong. This is the paradox of experiences with God. They are the most real and powerful experiences of life, capable of transforming and changing us. Yet they are also intensely personal, difficult to verify, and therefore subject to human limitations and misinterpretations. Though we should be passionate about our religious faith, we do well remember the words of this Hindu prayer. O Lord, forgive 3 sins that are due to my human limitations. Thou art everywhere, but I worship you here. Thou art without form, but I worship you in these forms. Thou needest no praise, yet I offer these prayers and salutations. Lord, Forgive 3 sins that are due to my human limitations. I encountered this same humility in the popular Easter hymn, He Lives. Alfred Elkley wrote his belief in a risen Jesus alive in the world today. Yet he ended each chorus with the admission, "You asked me how I know his lives. He lives. He lives within my heart." The proof is not in archaeological research, DNA testing of the Shroud of Turin, or in proving the reliability of resurrection accounts in the Bible. The truth of any experience is whether it changes our hearts. Are we transformed into more gracious people? When the passion of our hearts is balanced by an awareness of our limitations, we will live graciously, accepting our inability to fully communicate what we've experienced and aware of our resistance prior to such experiences. We will not insist on conformity, but offer our insights humbly. We will offer our sliver of the truth, even as we appreciate what others have to say. That's a nice chapter. It's a humble religions, right? Okay, I should stop here. Please correct me if you can. Thanks.